Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me. This is Alan with another broadcast of the Morlog Morning Digest. As always, you can help the channel grow by liking, subscribing, hitting the bell for notifications, but most importantly, please share the content. Donations can be made at paypal.me/Morlog Morning Digest. You'll find a link in the description below. Let's hop right into the coronavirus update for the day. We're going to really avoid hard statistical numbers because governments are definitely lying about what's going on. A prime example right now is in the United States. They're saying that there's only about 82 reported cases nationwide. However, there's been 2 deaths in Washington State. And if this thing is killing at a 2.5 clip like all the other numbers, which are obviously lower than what's actually going on, are telling us, that means that there would have had to have been at least 250 cases nationwide. And the fact of the matter is, the United States has blundered getting out ahead of this thing 100%. There was only 500 tests done nationwide as of last week, and that number right now is increasing. However, even best case scenario, at the end of next week, they're only going to be able to test about 10,000 cases a day. And within the next month, they hope to get that number up to 20,000. However, by that point, it's going to be too late. It's going to spread, and it already has. We just haven't seen enough people presenting serious enough symptoms for them to even be aware that it is coronavirus. I honestly think that the media is downplaying the severity of this thing because of what's going on right now inside of our culture and society, and that's simply to say that Super Tuesday is today. Now, I want to point to Iran as a canary in the coal mine for this one because they had the same implications going on right before their virus blew out of proportion. And I believe they did the same thing the United States is doing, which is they're not telling us how severe this thing is because they want the elections to go off without a hitch, without hysteria. And in turn, if I were you and I were living in one of these areas like Southern California, New York City, for example, where there's been a reported case, Washington State, I wouldn't be going out and partaking in the Super Tuesday festivities of voting. Honestly, your vote doesn't count anyway, so why even bother? However, I'm not saying that because of the political system. I'm just looking out for my safety, right? I'm not going to vote today. I live in Massachusetts. I'm not voting for that very reason because I'm not going to put myself into a crowd of people and potentially expose myself to this. Now, a lot of you might be saying you're paranoid, etc., etc. Well, if there was a case that came in to Rhode Island through an international flight, and there was a case that came into New York and New Jersey because of an international flight, then why would I risk putting myself in the predicament knowing that Bradley International Airport is less than 35 minutes from my house, and you have Logan at Boston, which is also an international airport, and where I live, there's a cluster of colleges, right? A lot of colleges, UMass, Amherst, etc., etc. It's called the 5-college region. We also have a very popular boarding school in my town with a lot of students from East Asia. You know what I'm saying? China, Vietnam. There's a lot of kids from that area in my town. So, naturally, I'm going to try to avoid it, and I suggest you do the same. However, I'm not you. You're your own human being. Make your own decisions. We also have to realize that the economy is definitely going to take a hit inside of the United States, and you're seeing piss-poor decisions being made for both political reasons as well as economic reasons. Donald Trump, right, is still holding rallies as we speak, full well knowing that this virus has the potential of spreading, right? We have March Madness, which is one of the biggest sporting event of the entire year, and there's billions and billions and billions of dollars on the line right now for that sporting event with all the ad revenue, all the ticket sales, all the local economies that would be raking in money from hosting the tournament. And I haven't heard one person mention the possibility of March Madness getting shut down, and I honestly think that they're not going to have a choice. But with the elections going on today, especially considering California, Texas, these big populations are all going to be going to vote, we're going to see an uptick in cases within the next 7 to 14 days. And at this point, if you haven't gone out and gotten food to prepare yourself and sustain yourself for at least a month, you're behind the 8 ball. I've seen pictures coming out of California on the West Coast, Washington State. There's superstores like Costco's and BJ's and Sam's Clubs. They've all been wiped 100% clean. And this is exactly what we knew was going to happen from day one, right? I told you that this was going to go on. And the hysteria is what you're going to have to worry about at this point, okay? It's not so much the virus. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. It's coming to a town near you. It's just a matter of, are you going to be taking the precautions to protect yourself? I want you to realize right now, our government is not telling us the truth about what is going on, and we are seeing a lot of propaganda being spread. For one, I'm going to hold the Trump administration's toes to the fire here. He appointed Pence, right? He appointed Pence as the number one chairman of the coronavirus task force, whatever. Why is this being politicized? Why do we have politicians taking the forefront to speak to the community and the citizens on this one? We do not want to hear from somebody that we know we cannot trust. The average person does not trust their politicians, right? We want to hear from doctors. We want to hear from medical professionals. We want to hear from epidemiologists. We want to hear from people that study this for a living and have a fundamental understanding of what is going on. Okay. Now, at the same time, there's mixed messages and propaganda being spread all over the place. They get up and do a press conference, and one of the researchers on the task force straight up says it's not a matter of if, but when we will see widespread community-based transmissions inside of the United States. And then Donald Trump gets on stage and says nothing is inevitable. This thing may very well die down when the temperature rises. However, according to all studies based on what's going on in Taiwan, that's not necessarily going to happen. However, the mixed messaging is a problem. And on top of that, you're seeing propaganda all over the place. Let's point to the German Prime Minister, the German Health and Human Services, CDC head, whatever, their equivalent over there, is going around and saying disinfectant is ineffective. There's no reason to wear masks. Our own government is starting to put out information saying healthy people aren't going to benefit from wearing masks. However, I guarantee you that you're going to see the War Powers Act used in order to make producers of this protective equipment prioritize masks as one of the things that they are going to be forced to make by law. Now, the reason that they're telling the public not to go out and get masks is because our government is behind the 8 ball and they don't have any themselves. So instead of fighting the average citizen like you and me for the supply, what they're going to do is they're going to put propaganda out there saying that we don't need the protective gear. However, they're going to be soaking it all up for them to use. It's no coincidence at all. That is 100% what is going on. The way that this is being handled is an absolute shit show from day one. Prepare for it. Protect yourselves. Protect your family. Avoid unnecessary contact with people in large groups. I'm telling you right now that there is a hell of a lot more cases than what they have reported. Thousands. Thousands and thousands. That is almost a guarantee. God bless you and your families. Thank you, and I will talk to you soon.